we're going to talk about nutrition now. The most important part of this program. If you don't do this right, you're going to look like garbage. You eat like garbage, you're going to look like garbage. Pay attention to this. It may seem like a difficult process to figure out these formulas, but we're going to explain it to you step by step. We're going to use an example here. Now, what you need to figure out is your total daily energy expenditure, the amount of calories in a day that you need to maintain your body weight. Before we figure out your total daily energy expenditure, we have to figure out your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, the amount of calories you need in a day just to maintain your vital functions. Now, your BMR is based off of kilograms. For those of you that are unfamiliar, a kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. So you take your body weight divided by 2.2, that's how much you weigh in kilograms. If you're 175 pounds divided by 2.2, you weigh 79.5 kilograms. Everybody got that? Good. There's a simple formula for your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, developed by Dr. Fred Hatfield. If you're a man, you take 1 times by your body weight in kilograms times by 24. If you're a female, 0.9 times by your body weight in kilograms times by 24. That will give you your BMR. Now a side note, if you are overweight, if you're a man and you're above 19% body fat, this is going to overestimate your calories. If you're a female, you're above 25% body fat. This will overestimate your calories. Now if you have access to get your body fat done, we're going to give you the exact formula. If you're a lean individual and you know your lean body mass, you use this formula as well. It's a more precise formula. For men and women, 370 plus 21.6 times by your lean mass in kilograms. That will give you your most precise basal metabolic rate, your BMR. Now, let's use an example here. You're a 175 pound man. Divide that by 2.2, 79.5 kilograms. Let's figure out your basal metabolic rate with the simple formula. 1 times by 79.5 times by 24. 1,908 calories in a day is your basal metabolic rate. Since we have your basal metabolic rate of 1,908 calories in a day, we can find your total daily energy expenditure, TDEE, based on your activity level. If you are a sedentary individual, you don't work out, maybe you work out every now and then, you're going to take your basal metabolic rate times by 1.2. Now, if you're slightly more active, lightly active individual, you work out once, maybe twice a week every now and then, take your BMR times by 1.375. Now, for a moderately active individual, most of us fall in, we work out 3 to 4 times a week, we take your BMR times by 1.55. If you're more active than that, you're very active, basal metabolic rate, BMR, times by 1.725. And for those of you that are crazy, like myself, and you are extremely active, you work out 6, 7 times a week, maybe more, take your basal metabolic rate times by 1.9. You almost double your calories because you work out so often. Alright, now we're going to do an example for you. We have our 175 pound man with a basal metabolic rate of 1,908 calories. We're going to say he's moderately active. 1,908 times by 1.55 equals 2,957 calories. That is your total daily energy expenditure, TDEE. That is what you're going to use for all your macronutrient ratios. So for mass construction, heavy artillery, and fat incineration, we're going to use this example formula. Heavy artillery, you want to get as big and jacked as possible. You're not worried about taking your shirt off, you just want to be big, strong, and scary. Now, we need a calorie surplus here. So we take our 175 pound man, we multiply that by 2, which equals 350. We're going to use an additional 350 calories added to our total daily expenditure. 2,957 plus 350 equals 3,307 calories a day. That may sound like a lot, but you need to eat big to get big. Now, our macronutrient ratio is here. 55% carbohydrates. That's a lot of carbs, but you need carbs to get big. So we take that total daily energy expenditure plus our calorie surplus of 350, 3,307 calories in a day multiplied by 55% carbohydrates. 3,307 times by 55% carbohydrates equals 1,000 1,818 calories in a day. 1,818 divided by 4 calories in a gram of carbohydrate, we get 454 grams of carbs in a day. Get around 450, give or take a little bit. That's a lot, but you can do it. Spread it out evenly throughout your meals. Now, 30% protein, 3,307 times by 30%, you get 992 calories. We divide that by 4 to get our grams per day, 248 grams in a day. You're about 250 grams of protein in a day. 15% fat, 3,307 times by 15, 496 calories of fat in a day. 9 calories in 1 gram of fat, 55 grams of fat. Everybody got that? Good. All right, mass construction. Now, you want to put on muscle, but you also want to lose some body fat. You want to look great with your shirt off. We need to drop down the carbohydrates a little bit. Dropping down the carbohydrates, we increase the protein a touch. So we have 50% carbohydrates, 35% protein, and once again, 15% fat. Now, we do not need a calorie surplus here. So we go back to that original example of 2,957 calories in a day for a 175-pound moderately active male. 2,957 multiplied by 50% carbohydrates equals 1,478 calories in a day. We divide this by 4, 369 grams of carbs in a day. Once again, it doesn't need to be exact, but keep it around 370 grams in a day. Protein, 35% protein multiplied by 2,957 calories in a day, 1,034 calories of protein in a day. Divide this by 4, 258 grams of protein in a day. You're about 260. Stay within that range. All right, now the fat, you're going to keep it about 15%. Once again, if you eat within our recommended food list, you don't need to measure it that much. It's naturally occurring in the foods that you eat. Now, 2,957 multiplied by 15% fat, we get 443 calories in a day, divided by 9 to get the grams of fat in a day, 49 grams of fat in a day. Fat incineration. You want to get lean, you want to get mean. 45% carbohydrates, 40% protein, and 15% fat once again. 2,957 times by your 45% carbohydrates, 1,330 calories in a day, divided by 4, once again, 332 grams of carbs in a day. It's a little bit less of carbohydrates. 40% protein, 2,957 times by 40% protein, 1,182 calories in a day. Divide that by 4 once again. 295 grams of protein in a day. Protein is bumped up a little bit as the carbohydrates are bumped down. Your fat grams stay at 15% times by 2,957, which equals 443 calories or 49 grams of fat in an entire day. There you go. There you have it. Let's get it.